My name is Laurent Dagenet, and I use TikTok to share my love for cooking with the rest of the world. It allowed me to build this global community. I get to meet the coolest people in the world and inspire people to get in the kitchen and cook. I can honestly say that TikTok changed my life forever.
This Week in Gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. I'm Naomi Kyle, and this week we are catching up on Sony's big announcements at their first State of Play presentation of the year. New Astro Bot content drops, Overwatch brings back loot boxes, and the official winners at this year's Canadian Game Awards. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's hop right in. Mere hours after last week's episode of This Week in Gaming, Sony announced that their first State of Play for 2025 would air on February 12th. The State of Play was about 40 minutes long and contained around 30 new video game trailers and announcements. And here's what you missed. Borderlands 4 finally gets a release date on September 23rd. Darwin's Paradox is a fun new puzzle platformer where you play as an octopus trying to make your way back to the ocean. Darwin's Paradox is releasing later this year. Indie darling Dave the Diver surprised everyone with an unexpected collaboration with Yakuza Like a Dragon. Dave and Ichiban team up to take down a dolphin poaching syndicate in the new Dave the Diver DLC, Ichiban's Holiday. The DLC is expected to launch this April on PS4 and PS5. After releasing just 6 years ago, Days Gone is getting remastered. The remastered version will feature improved graphics, support of 3D audio, and DualSense features. New modes will also be added, including permadeath and a survival mode called Horde Assault. Days Gone Remastered releases on April 25th, and owners of the PS4 and PC versions can upgrade to the remastered version of Days Gone for just $10. Digimon Storytime Stranger was revealed as the latest installment in the Digimon Story series, and it is expected to release later this year. More horror is on the way with a new adventure in the Five Nights at Freddy series called Secret of the Mimic. Secret of the Mimic launches on June 13th. Lives of P is sending fans back to where it all began in their DLC prequel, Lives of P Overture. The DLC is expected to release sometime this summer. Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is coming out in just a few days, and for those still on the fence about picking up the game, a demo of Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is available for download right now. Metal Eden was announced as the next fast-paced sci-fi first-person shooter. Metal Eden launches on May 6th. We have finally been given a release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the remake of the classic Metal Gear sequel, and it is releasing on August 28th. The announcements continue with the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds. It's a little more than a week away, and during the State of Play, Capcom confirmed that Monster Hunter Wilds will be getting 2 free title updates, one in the spring and another in the summer. The updates will add new monsters and new event quests. The spring update will add the monster Mizutsune, who first appeared in Monster Hunter a decade ago on the 3DS. Sonic Racing Across Worlds showed off a new gameplay trailer during the State of Play. In the trailer, it was revealed that the main gimmick in the next Sonic Racing game will be the ability to activate travel rings, which transports all racers to a completely new location in the middle of a race. There is no release date for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds yet, but gamers can sign up for a chance to play the closed network test on February 21st at Sega.com, but signups close on February 19th, so you've got to hurry. Split Fiction released a story trailer during the State of Play. If you or your partner have any interest in playing this game, I highly recommend you buy it on release. Let's say you haven't met your partner yet. That's okay because you can play online with a friend for free if they have a copy of the game or vice versa, thanks to the Friends Pass. Split Fiction releases on March 6th. The cutesy, creepy, dark fantasy adventure The Midnight Walk revealed gameplay and a release date in a new trailer. The Midnight Walk is planned to release on May 8th. House Marquee wrapped up the State of Play with the announcement of their next title, Saros. Saros is an action title that looks like it will be very similar in tone to Returnal, although House Marquee has said directly that Saros is not a sequel or a spin-off. Saros will launch later in 2026. Phew, I told you it was a lot. So if my recap got you hyped and you want to see more gameplay for yourself, you can find the trailers and the state of play in its entirety on YouTube. So be sure to check it out.
Quest accepted.
Sony is releasing more DLC for their 2024 Game of the Year title, Astro Bot. As of Thursday last week, Astro Bot introduced an update that takes advantage of the PS5 Pro's hardware, allowing for the best possible resolution while maintaining a solid 60 frames per second. The DLC also introduces a new galaxy called the Vicious Void. As the name suggests, Vicious Void will feature 5 formidable levels, the first of which, TikTok Shock, is available to play right now. The 4 remaining levels are set to release episodically, starting with Thrust or Bust on February 20th, Cockadoodle Doom on February 27th, Hard to Bear on March 6th, and lastly with Armored Hardcore on March 16th. Like other levels in Astro Bot, players will be rewarded for completing levels by rescuing brand new special bots. After beating the level, you will be able to compete against friends and foes in the Astro Bot community for the top spot on the online leaderboard. So put your speedrunning skills to the test and tag me on social at Naomi Ka with your fastest times, and I will be definitely playing this one, so keep a lookout for my score. The launch of Overwatch 2 marked the end of an era, completely replacing Overwatch as Blizzard's primary hero shooter. Overwatch 2 was now free to play like its competitors and replaced Overwatch's loot box system for a more modern progression system known as the Battle Pass. Now it seems that Blizzard has changed their minds and they want to reintroduce loot boxes to the next season of Overwatch 2. Since their inception, loot boxes have become infamous throughout the gaming community, causing gamers young and old to become addicted to what is plainly a predatory gambling mechanic. Countries like Belgium and the Netherlands have found the practice of offering loot boxes to be so deplorable that they've outright banned games that use loot boxes. So if loot boxes are so bad, why does Overwatch 2 want to bring them back? Good question. Well, Blizzard says that their loot boxes in Overwatch 2 will operate differently from their predecessors. For starters, Overwatch 2 loot boxes will be free, and players will be unable to purchase them directly. News of loot boxes returning in this way has some Overwatch fans excited for the new season, while others are keeping their guard up when Overwatch 2 Season 15 goes live tomorrow on February 18th. We'll have more on Overwatch's return to loot boxes with our guest this week, so stay tuned. On Saturday, a huge winter storm grounded planes and brought Toronto to its knees. But despite the frost, the Canadian Game Awards went on. This year's nominees were made up of the finest talent Canada has to offer. Venezuelan-Canadian actress Humberry Gonzalez won an award for her performance in Star Wars Outlaws. Vancouver's indie studio Sunset Visitor won for Best Art Direction for their game, 1,000 Times Resist. Edmonton's BioWare won 4 awards, including Best Score and Best Narrative for their AAA title, Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And Saskatchewan local and solo developer Local Thunk took home 5 awards for his game, Balatro, which took home the gold as CGA's 2025 Game of the Year. Thank you to the Canadian Game Awards for inviting me to host this year's event, and thank you to my co-host Matthew Rondina, aka Dapper Tux, for joining me on stage. I can't wait to see what Canada has in store for CGA 2026.
Games out this week.
On February 18th, The Silent Kingdom romances the PC. Lost Records Bloom and Rage reunite on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Avowed casts a spell over PC, Xbox Series X and S, and releases day 1 on Game Pass. On February 20th, Blood Typers and Era 1 release exclusively on PC. Stories from Soul, The Gun Dog launches on PS4, PS5, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii runs aground on PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. And on February 21st, Die in the Dungeon rolls for initiative on PC. PGA Tour 20K 2025 chips in on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. The Epic Game Store is offering 2 free games this week, Garden Story and World War Z Aftermath, which will be available for download from February 20th until the 27th.
Quest complete.
So that's it for the news this week. It's now time to chat with our guest. We have Kahlief Adams on the show to chat about everything we saw at Sony's State of Play and what we think about Overwatch bringing back those controversial loot boxes.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hey, Kahlief. How you doing? Welcome back to the show.
I'm breathing, maybe,
Yay!
kind of, sort of. So I apologize to everyone at home. I'm a little bit sick, so
That's okay.
I'll try to work my way through it. But good to see you and hear you, and excited to rock.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the big presentation that kind of got announced super last second. But hey, we got a state of play, the first of the year. Some exciting announcements. There was a lot in the state of play, I will say. Just rounded out the news earlier and was like, holy cow, there are a lot of game announcements and new trailers and release dates. But I wanted to get like your just overall vibe. How did it feel to have Sony's first state of play of the year? Did it feel like the excitement was there? How would you rate it?
I mean, I gave, if you do the 10-point scale, I gave it around a 7.
Okay.
I thought it was a pretty decent showing for, expectations that went in. I mean, expectations are always super high, especially when, you have, a dev direct like what Xbox put on and that kind of went over really, really well. I think, everyone was excited to see what new games are going to be kind of talked about, if any big announcements were going to come through. And there were a couple of really interesting picks in there, some that were a little confusing and then some that were, that got me excited. So I think overall, for their first show of the year, I think they did a decent job. I didn't expect them to get too high, but they started off strong and then they kind of kept it going.
Yeah, I felt like, I'm just glad there are more games coming, and Sony's been crushing it. So it's good to see them come out with some new titles. And was there for you anything that really piqued your interest or got you excited the most? Like what was the one thing that stood out to you the most from the presentation they gave?
I mean, Borderlands 4 is always going to be something that I'm excited for. It was good to see the folks from Gearbox come back and talk about what they have coming, fairly soon. Like it's weird when you say September and you already feel like it's already kind of getting close because time is flying so fast.
Halfway through February already.
My goodness. So Borderlands 4 was great. Directive 8020 was something that I'm really excited about because I love stuff from Supermassive. Supermassive with their games from the Dark Pictures franchise is always something that always gets me excited in a big way. Midnight Walk was a game from Moonwood that got me really hyped only because, well, two things. One, I love when you kind of dig into that claymation style. I think that's really interesting. And seeing how beautiful that was and knowing that it's going to be playable in PSVR 2, that was a big thing for me as well. So I think, the ones that were in that mix that really got me excited were that. And of course, Hell is Us. Hell is Us is going to be a day one purchase for me. I'm so hyped for what that game is going to wind up being. So yeah. A lot of goodies to be found in the showcase.
Some good stuff. I think for me, Lies of P, the DLC, Lies of P is kind of like a sleeper hit. Definitely check it out if you're into Souls-like video games. It's beautifully made, and they have new DLC that they announced. The Days Gone remastered, I thought was cool. Very excited for that. I liked the original, so to have it get back into the spotlight a little bit was fun. Anything surprising from the presentation?
Actually, I'm happy you kind of touched on the Days Gone one. I think that one had me actually surprised. It feels like it's a weird game that I think I love the game. I think the game is great. But we're in this space that I would love to get your thoughts about in terms of timing for games like this, where you have this space where folks have been clamoring for a thing, at least in that universe. And then when folks get it, they're like, but we didn't ask for this.
I know.
It's a weird balance between the timing and the want from the audience. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think Days Gone is a particular case too. It's an interesting one. They were talking about like, oh, will there ever be a sequel? I guess it didn't like meet expectations, stuff like that. I think, give us as much, if some diehard fans are looking for more content, and like give them what you can in the moment, and hopefully that'll build the hype for maybe something down the road. Like if they do see that this remastered as well, maybe they'll explore the idea of doing a sequel after all. And yeah, it is interesting though, the post-apocalyptic world and stuff. I don't know, that's kind of my general take. Post-apocalyptic is hot right now because of the success of the Last of Us TV show. I feel like it's always kind of been in the zeitgeist, like zombie movies and stuff like that. But I think it's a good time. I think they're doing what they can to bring it back into the spotlight, like I said.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I love the point you talked about of like maybe if there's enough zeitgeist and kind of sales towards this, it might kickstart a sequel.
Yeah.
I hope, because I feel like there were so many parts of that story that got fleshed out, but you were looking for a little bit more.
Yeah. So maybe a DLC too, like if it's less of a lift for them.
Yeah. Like that crew was really interesting, and it felt like, even though some main characters got hurt and some of that, spoilers, I'm sorry, the game has been out for a while.
Yeah, it has been.
It has been out for a minute. But like there were angles to that story that I think would have been really cool to see the longer version of what that meant to the greater world. So that would be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. What about anything that you were hoping to see but didn't get shown? I guess it's maybe too early in the year to expect something too up there, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for more first party titles. I think everyone is still looking for Wolverine to get shown somewhere.
Yeah.
I think everyone is excited about that. I know everyone was trying to figure out ways to throw GTA 6 in that thing, and everyone was like, "That's never going to happen."
No.
So that was a funny layer of what it means there. I mean, I think the thing that I'm really hoping for is less about a specific game, but more about how they're using the hardware to kind of lift the games that are here and the future development up. I think people are still kind of wondering if the PS5 Pro was worth it. And I still am looking for angles and games that actually are using that technology in ways that we haven't seen before. Yeah. So I was hoping for more of that, to be frank, is how do we showcase this piece of hardware that I spent money on and a bunch of other people spent money on, and so that they feel like their purchase was worth it. So we haven't seen that yet.
We haven't. You're right.
In some ways, except for, hey, now you get to play on balanced mode in the games that you're already expecting to play. So yeah, I'm waiting for that.
There was a new game announced, Saros. I saw that seemed interesting. But overall I agree. Like I wonder how soon we'll get another state of play to have, like, maybe there's the timing of it didn't play out for this particular presentation to have some of the big ones. Cause I agree. Like if Sony's going to play this right, they have to have better first party titles.
I mean, the rumor is summer. That rumor has been bantered about on the interwebs this past week. I mean, I worry less about timing and I want more frequency. I think that's the biggest thing that I actually care about is I don't think you need to go out super hard and put like a 30 game showcase out every quarter. Mm-hmm. But there are times in the year where you could drop smaller tidbits of stuff, give updates on certain titles that are coming out, do some dev diaries with the teams and bring them into the fold and showcase their work to get people excited. Because, the conversation right now is, Microsoft is really doing a fantastic job of putting out games when the conversation was the opposite for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And now with the conversations around live service titles that didn't do well and also got canceled on the Sony side, people are starting to shift that conversation to PlayStation and saying, well, where are the games now?
Yeah.
And I think this hopefully, calmed people down some, but a lot of that stuff is 2026.
Yeah.
And not coming this year.
Not coming this year. Yeah. 2026. So. Yeah. And who knows if GTA 6 gets pushed into next year. And we'll see. Yep. But they said I've seen articles. I've seen them say, it's definitely coming out this year. So we can only hope. So I guess maybe Summer Games Fest we'll see something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They have to put something on.
Yeah. Around that time. Let's shift gears right now. Overwatch is bringing back loot boxes. Mm-hmm. Loot boxes, I know for a lot of listeners and folks who have kids, they've been a hot button topic because they can be addictive, they can be predatory. Right. But Overwatch seems to be doing this in a way that I think makes more sense. What did you think when you saw that they were bringing them back?
I think it's fine. Like I'm probably the worst person to ask about microtransactions because I'm on team. Like you have discretionary funds and you understand what to do with your own money,
right?
And it, again, if it's not a free play to win kind of scenario, I think if it's all still cosmetic, then it's fine. I'm not surprised by it from conversations that I've seen. And data that they supposedly have collected internally, people have been asking for it and players have been asking for it. So in a weird way, if that is true and if that is the case, then you're getting what you paid for. You're getting what you asked for.
Yeah.
The developers are doing exactly what the biggest gripe in the space is right now. And that is they are helping to give people what they said that they want.
Yeah. And I think it's the nostalgia element too for a lot of folks who are fans of the original Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
To bring that back.
It's a part of it, like it's not something that people don't know and love. And there is that piece of, nostalgia and that serotonin hit when you see a thing and you got what you wanted.
The legendary skin or whatever.
Yeah, like those things still are there for a reason. But I would say the thing that I would want people to pay attention to is frequency of getting what you have an expectation for. And pricing. I think I haven't heard anything yet in terms of pricing changes on those things because some of those were fairly expensive.
Yeah. From what I've read, Overwatch is doing their loot boxes completely free.
Oh,
so
really?
They're bringing that entirely free. Yep. They'll have them part of like Battle Pass and obviously like Twitch promos and stuff like that. But it's all going to be free and then the big attraction I think is that it's going to bring back nostalgic like pieces, skins and what have you that aren't in the store at the moment that you can happen to get in a loot box if you missed it when it was in the store.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So there's like things they're doing that I think the way that they're bringing it back in my mind makes more sense. And it's more for the fans.
I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, like I don't see an issue with it. And I want people to be honest about their motivations when it comes to the conversations around microtransactions. I think, yes, there have been many studies about the potential addictiveness of that, the gambling layers that go along with it. But I also think there's a very human layer of FOMO that goes along with all of this.
Fear of missing out for those who don't know.
Totally. That people weirdly forget to add into the equation of why this is a thing that people care about so much.
Yeah.
And if you can admit that, then you can say, hey, sometimes not everything that's in here that's available, I need to have.
That's right.
You
can just not open the box.
You cannot open the box. You leave the box alone, and that'll be great. So, yeah.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for coming on the show. I always love having you. This is officially season 2, so I hope you'll be back for some more great combos in gaming. We're just kicking off the year, so there's a lot more to come.
It's like a loot box of information and fun.
That's right.
Gosh,
that's what it is here on This Week in Gaming. All right. Well, Kahlief, have a good one, and thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me. See you soon.
Kahlief Adams is the founder and host of the Spawn on Me podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Kahlief Adams.
Flawless victory. Continue.
And that's This Week in Gaming, folks. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such a blast bringing you the news as I do every week. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for all the good stuff, and shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, for helping put the show together. Don't forget to tag me whenever you can on social. I'm there. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a fun-filled week, and we'll see you again same time, same place. Thanks for listening.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock?
Kids wanna rock.